Hello, this is Meme Analysis, and today we're going to be talking about the Joker. Now, it might seem like I'm just doing a movie review or selling out, which I'm not. I do honestly think that this is a movie about memes, and it is a movie that is directly responding to the Joker as a meme. So if you'd like to gain a bit of insight on this movie, stick along and hear the punchline. So we start out with Arthur Fleck, who is, I think, kind of obviously an underground man in the sense of Dostoevsky. Somebody totally alienated from society, and I think most importantly, he is stuck in this grim and horrible sexual Oedipal tension with his mother and with his lack of a father. I mean, one of the first kind of bigger important scenes takes place with the co-worker. I forget his name, but he's the big fat one who gives him the gun. He is being given the phallus. It is a masculine caring. And later on in the movie, the coworker says, "You were always like my boy." Very important. Very important that this coworker plays the role of the father. And then at home that night, when he is watching the Murray Franklin show, he begins to have a vision of Murray saying, "You know, I wish I'd had a son like you." Again, we get this very clear image that he is desperate for a father. And later on, when he comes to think that he has a real father in the form of Thomas Wayne, we get this kind of Cain and Abel situation. He is the son that was cast out, and Bruce Wayne is the son that is able to be normal and to have a family. So we get this image of a man horribly strangled by mom and dad. And that, of course, is the tragedy which he is referring to when he says, "I used to think my life was a tragedy. Then I realized it's a fucking comedy." The comedy is when he realizes that, number one, his mother is not even his mother. He was adopted. And that every father he'd had is a false father. The coworker betrays him. Murray Franklin humiliates him. And Thomas Wayne fucking punches him in the face. It becomes very clear he is isolated. There is no mom and dad that's going to come and save him. And so, what does he do? He kills his mother. This is the kind of heroic thing. You had the Greek tragedy where you couldn't kill your parents, you couldn't kill your family, because you would be cursed by the gods. Not so now. The comedy he is referring to, in that his life is really a comedy, is a comedy of errors. He thought that it was mom and dad, but there was none, and so he's able to do away with them very happily and quickly, without much difficulty. I said earlier that this was a movie about memes, so I'm going to elaborate on that. So, obviously we have this kind of Oedipal, tortured boy, man-child in Arthur. He is the perfect genitor of the meme, the basement dweller, the one who lives in his mother's basement. He is literally within a fantasy of his mother's psychosis. And so, he gives birth to a great meme in the form of the subway shooting. It wasn't even out of a hatred, or there was no great familial trauma coming to a head. It was really, I had the phallus, I was introduced to a situation, and I took the action. He had been laughing before it. A point that my friend Nathan Sackett of Slimy Clearing made is that this laughter disorder is not merely a neurological one, but it is very clearly a Freudian disorder, a displacement of libido away from the sexual act and away from the physical act and toward laughter. It's a neurotic laughter. An attempt to displace all this libido, which he has stored up in him, which I'm going to get to later. And so it is through this laughter you see he's beginning to bubble over. He's about to go mad. And through the subway shooting, he does. And it's this one little case. You get 3 guys dead, 1 clown killer. And we even had a meme about this a couple years ago where people reported seeing clowns carrying knives and guns. Totally made up, of course, but it only takes media to make a fictional story into the truth for a lot of people. And so the media begins to spin and spin and spin. You know, the city's in this really bad political state, so they take advantage of this narrative. And so the narrative of the clown killer is utilized. And the elite, of course, say, yes, look at these clowns, pathetic people. But the poor, the proletarian, they say, yes, we are clowns. And they don the makeup, they don the masks. He has literally started a meme. It's something that people are always going to respond viscerally to. This kind of intense moment, this intense phenomena, which is in the form oftentimes of an image, macro, or a video, but of course, in this case, it was a real act. And we've talked about memes crossing the threshold before. This is, in fact, how politics occur. A memetic act occurs, and they repeat endlessly. So we are getting a look at a metaphor for memes in the form of this film. This film is about a creator of memes. So, I think that the comparison to Taxi Driver is not necessarily a superficial one, but it's kind of a red herring. The same for The King of Comedy. I think the movie that really needs to be paid attention to is Network, the 1976 movie. It's a brilliant, brilliant critique of television culture and that kind of thing. A lot more than that, but we'll get into it. So, in a way, it's not about the internet on a superficial level, but Joker could be called internet to Network's network in the TV network. Murray Franklin, the TV host, is shot dead, much in the way that, I've forgotten his name, but the Howard Beale show. Howard Beale is killed on screen and ends the movie. And the scene that occurs immediately after is the zoom out onto all the screens and the shooting being replayed again and again and advertisements with it. And Joker takes this shot, I mean exactly this shot, after he shoots Murray Franklin. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think that we're getting a look at the new media. Joker is a look at the memetic form rather than the kind of corporate manufactured form. Like, they manufacture the show about the terrorist army. They manufacture the Howard Beale show away from a psychotic incident into a mass-produced TV show. Joker's the opposite. It takes a psychotic break and reproduces it en masse with real-world effects, with real violence, whereas I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. It happened in the city once, and then they found a way to capitalize on it. Maybe that's the dreary reading of Joker. Maybe after this, they're selling Joker magazines and Joker book specials, just like King of Comedy. But I think that we can hope not. We can hope that it is a legitimate political action. So, you may remember the scene in the movie when he's doing this strange kind of dance. And you might also remember a dance being done like this in Twin Peaks. I think that there's a reason that they're doing it. I touched on it a bit before when I was talking about the nature of the Apollonian and the Dionysian. Now, my critique of Joker in the past has generally been that he is a Dionysian man, that he is the green man, this kind of great drunken monster of chaos. Now, this is a totally different look. Heath Ledger is that. Joaquin Phoenix is an Apollonian sculpture, sculpted by tragedy. His body is rigid and horrible. You can see it in a lot of the scenes. He's very tense and tightened up, and he can barely move and do things. But when he becomes the Joker, he is dancing and feeling it. Todd Phillips, the director of Joker, said as much. He has music in his soul. What I'm saying is that Heath Ledger becomes his soul. The Joker, the entity, the archetypal green man, possesses this tragic fellow after he realizes the tragedy was false. He gets a big old hole in his conscience and comes in, Heath Ledger's Joker, ready to murder happily, ready to joke, ready to dance. Does he look like a guy with a plan? No. The sculptor had the plan. The Joker has the dance and the music. So I was going to talk about the memes that influenced the creation of the movie The Joker, and on the other side, the memes that have come about because of The Joker. So I think one of the big ones is we live in a society. We live in a society is essentially quoted in the movie itself, and I think ultimately the movie functions as a we live in a society Joker meme, where it is the oppressed gamer, and that's why there were all the memes about the Joker, that it was going to have a mass shooting, because it was like incel porn or gamer, it's the gamer movie. One of the very funny memes I saw was, if this is how black people felt at Black Panther, I totally understand. Because it's like the gamer race, as we talked about in Gamer Girl P. They are a separate group that perceive themselves as oppressed. And while Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is not a gamer, he is certainly an oppressed, Oedipal, sheltered white man, and he strikes out. The story everybody loves. Taxi Driver and all that kind of stuff. So we live in a society. We even get slonking. Joaquin Phoenix is smoking constantly throughout the movie. And no Joker incarnation, at least none of the popular ones, were smoking before the gang weed slonking meme. So I think that's somewhat significant. And then afterwards, after the movie, we get a bunch of memes, a few of the good ones, like, I used to think my life was a cringe compilation, then I realized it's a try not to laugh video, or a lot of the memes that have been popular are from the, I don't know if it's just the trailer or if it's promotional images, but it's him dancing on the steps, and it's being combined with all kinds of other dancing characters, and as I've already talked about in the video, dancing is significant, and dancing is Nietzschean. On the subreddit, on the meme analysis subreddit, which you should subscribe to if you're not already, but I did an analysis of dancing memes and how they are this kind of Nietzschean flowing of will. And in a way, the dancing in this movie and in that meme, it expresses that pure energetic flow. It is like a spasmodic experience, like Bataille's fluidic people. So those are a few of the main points I wanted to make, and I'm not sure where we're going to put this in, so I'll say it now. And remember, memes matter.